Christian leaders, this is Pastor John Richards, and welcome to the Christian Leaders Book Club.
Hey, Christian leaders, I'm Pastor Christopher J. Harris, and I'm your co-host, Christian Leaders Book Club. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the August edition of the Christian Leaders Book Club. This is the man right here, Pastor John C. Richards, Esquire, Reverend Dr. Bishop Potentate. Come on, somebody.
I thought you were talking about yourself when you said the man right here, because that's got to be Christopher J. Harris, the good doctor, executive pastor, search firm, all the things, man. You got all kinds of things going on, man.
Guilty. I will not deny what you just said. Listen, everybody, this is our monthly Christian Leaders Book Club. We come to you every single month with the goal, the aim of expanding your understanding around books, and particularly books and conversations that would impact you as a leader, impact you as a Christian leader, and impact you as a learner. Our goal and our aim is to help to give you a catalog of conversations and ideas to help expand you as you help to influence and serve others. That's what leadership really is. It is leadership is influence, and so we want your influence to be healthy and well and balanced and all that kind of good stuff. Pastor John, we have now gotten over the hump of the summer, man. You survived. Everything is good.
Made it through, man. Kids back in school. We are back in our school year vibe. So trying to get that seasonal rhythm back down, man. Band season, basketball season is about to start. So we, back at it, brother. What about you?
Can we just thank God for a lower Costco and Sam's bill and BJ's bill?
Ooh, listen. Yes, sir. They're not at the house eating me out of house and home, man. Go to the school with that. Going over to school with that.
So here's the mystery that almost all parents of school-age kids are navigating, and that is you basically only eat one time a day at school. Mm-hmm. Why are you eating 7 or 8 over the summer at home?
I don't know. Like, if you do that all school year and eat once and maybe a snack, why are you in my kitchen, in my refrigerator, in my pantry?
Yeah.
Help me understand that.
In the pantry,
we're back, man.
Yeah, the pantry is full and the refrigerator is full, and they still will say, I don't know if it's anything in here to eat. If you don't get out my face with that.
And you look in the pantry and you're like, what in the world? What is this?
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yeah. Well, man, this is a journey, a fun journey that we're on. Here's our list this year of books that we've been walking through. I'm excited about this one that we're going to get into today. But Pastor John, why don't you jump in first, just in terms of quick review of where we've been so far.
Yeah, so we start out with Dan Miller's 48 Days to the Life You Live or to the Work You Love. And we want to start the year with kind of a book that would help people kind of discern stage of life they're in terms of their work. And we thought it was good for someone who's in that season, who's in that space. Obviously, neither one of us were, but we certainly had some nuggets from that book that we enjoyed for sure.
Yeah. We then went up. We then went up and dealt with finances, particularly that was Black History Month. So we kind of talked about it from the perspective John Hope Bryant, who I think has been and is a consistent voice in this space to kind of help. His whole platform is built off of the notion, the idea that the next wave is not civil rights, it's silver rights. Dealing with the conversation of economic foundation, economic development, and that kind of thing. And so that was really, really good. We transitioned from there with Lisa Fields, Lisa Victoria Fields. She put her whole name on the book.
The whole name.
When Faith Disappoints, which is an apologetics book for individuals that are wrestling with and navigating their faith. In fact, Pastor John, just a quick sidebar. I think today's book and Lisa's book would be great twins.
Good conversation partners. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about the soul winning church.
So the Soul Winning Church is written by two pastors, one black, one white, and both of them are writing about evangelism, but they contextualize it for both their experiences and talk about evangelism and how it could be a church-wide effort. We thought it was a good book, good collaborative effort from two pastors who are actually doing the work. So I thought it was good. Then we read Healing Leadership Trauma by a couple of PhDs. It's a little academic-ish in some ways, but there are definitely things that we can take from it in terms of the clinical pieces that could help from a pastoral perspective, and then also help from an individual perspective.
I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good, man. Has it been your favorite so far?
I would say the Soul Winning Church and yeah, the Healing Leadership Trauma have been my top two so far.
Okay.
Yeah. Super Communicators is right up there too, though. So I can't deny that, even though we haven't discussed that one publicly yet. So that's but it's a thick one. It's a thick one. So, yeah. Then we've got False White Gospel. You want to talk about that one really fast?
Yeah, so Jim Wallace, who is someone who was involved in mercy ministry, social justice ministry, been doing it for a long time in DC with Sojourners, wrote a book called The False White Gospel. Now, to be candid, we didn't think it was for us.
Yeah.
Us being me and Pastor Harris, but it is something that kind of can help people who are steeped in white evangelical culture and kind of help them work through that. So I thought it was a good book for that particular audience, and then for us, kind of seeing what he's writing to them to kind of help them in that way.
Yeah. And here we are today dealing with the invisible Jesus. And I want to say, like, everywhere online, the invisible Jesus is in gray. The actual book is in black. And you're like, man, what's the title? And so I had to look. The first time I got the book, I'm like, oh, there's no title. Oh, there it is.
That was intentional. Come on, publishers, doing your thing.
They were doing their thing on that, man. They were doing their thing on that. So what's your overall, let's do like we normally do. What's your overall takeaway from the book?
So this book is really interesting because it comes on the heels of what I knew as the emergent church out in California. Erwin McManus, all those guys kind of have been working through this idea that has now become a buzzword called deconstruction. I think overall it is the next iteration of what the emergent church started in the 2000s, late 2000s and 10s, and kind of a continuation of that, thinking about deconstructing and reconstructing one's faith. So I think McKnight and Phillips are giving language to that for some people who may have been searching for language from that, who aren't like, oh, I don't want to be part of the emergent church because it's kind of an old deal. But kind of moving forward, I think this idea of this deconstruction, which has already been a buzzword, is something that people are going to start using for sure.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think it's interesting because so I said this to you offline. It took me a few chapters, Pastor John, to kind of get into the book.
Interesting.
And let me tell you why. So as I'm reading the book, it was almost like I couldn't figure out what angle they were really trying to either come from or sell, or the argument that they were actually, like, we did a lot of talking about deconstruction. But where are you going with it, right? And one of the things that I often do, we talk about this each month, like, who is the target audience, right?
Right.
And it didn't dawn on me until I had the chance to actually, like, go look up Scott McKnight, look up Tommy Preston Phillips, who goes by Preston Phillips with his music, right? He doesn't go by Tommy in the ministry space, but in his music space, he goes by Preston Phillips.
Hmm.
They are writing this to the people that they are called to. So
Hmm.
Tommy's church or his gathering is essentially a house church movement.
Right.
It is a deconstructed model of the brick and mortar church. And there is nothing wrong with that at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
I didn't quite get that though until I got towards the middle or I think it was chapter 6 or 7 in the book. What do you your reaction to that?
I also viewed it as not just them writing to their people as well, but to their former people. So, like them telling their biographical accounts, talking about what they're coming out of and how their transition out of the church wasn't handled well, and also talking about not having exit interviews with folks who are deconstruction folks. I think they're trying to dispel the myth that deconstruction means that one has left the faith. And they say it in
Yeah.
the book several times over. We're going to talk about that, but I thought it was a kind of a dual audience for me. One was, hey, these are our people. Want to make sure they're safe, they're good. But then we want to, call out prophetically the churches who have not handled people who have had questions in the past well, and try to figure out how they can best serve those communities and work through those things.
Let me ask you a big question.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I walked away from the book was with this question. And I tend to think that I am hungry and am a student of the church. So I do a lot of, paying attention, reading and listening across all demographics and all church makeups and all denominations. Do you think it's possible for there to be a successful hybrid model of the traditional church model, brick and mortar, and the house church model?
Do I think that's possible?
Yes.
That both can exist?
No, that they could exist in the same place.
Oh. So it depends. So I think language is important, right? Because house church for many means small groups. And so there are churches who have thriving who focus primarily on small groups. I'm thinking about what's the sticky church guy? Is it Larry Osborne? Larry.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So they like their primary discipleship model is groups. It's
Yeah.
small groups. And for
Yeah.
me, that's a house church. Like you're actually doing life together. And they talk about meals in this book, talk about table in this book quite often. And so I think it could happen. But I think from them, they're thinking big church don't work. Let's do house churches. And from our perspective, I think there's a both and model to where your small groups are actually your smaller house churches. Like they're meeting house to house, like the book of Acts. Just because we got a bigger brick and mortar that meets on Sunday. And I love what one of the pastors said in in the book. They quoted the pastors, they said, man, I do Sundays because I have to. I do small groups because I want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, ooh, that's he was being real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, to answer your question, I think both of them can absolutely exist, man.
Yeah. I think so. The reason why I asked that question is because oftentimes I have found in conversations like this, because don't to me, deconstruction is a major part of the book, but there's also an undercurrent here of advocating for the house church model because the traditional thing for these people
It's not
doesn't work.
working. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm not knocking that. I do think that oftentimes when the conversation of the house church movement comes up, decentralized model, it is automatically anti-traditional model. And I
Mhm.
don't know if that's healthy, right? I don't think that in order for the house church movement to win, that the traditional brick and mortar has to lose, or vice versa. Like I don't think that the
Mhm.
brick and mortar has to win and the house church movement lose. I think that the body of Christ is big enough, expansive enough, there's enough personalities, and if we're all biblically sound, there's enough room for everybody. Because there's some people who are just not going to thrive in a traditional context. They need to be discipled in a house church context.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would commend them for saying that a lot of bigger church experiences or brick and mortar church experiences are passive for people. And it's not
Yeah,
that the churches create the passive experiences because they try to get them involved in different areas, serving and all this other stuff. But some people are content with passive experiences. And
yeah,
so we try to move people in the groups, which is less passive and more of an active participation accountability deal. And I think, again, you can have both and do it well, and you don't have to demonize the other. It's You're doing the same thing that you're talking about in the book with deconstructionism and saying, hey, this is the way church is. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Same dogmatic stuff that you talked about in chapter number what, 545. You're trying to, there's some implicit dogmatism going on there, being dogmatic in that way.
yeah. I think the last overall question I have, or conversation I think we should have before we jump into the technical, not technical, but the actual chapters. It was very sobering. It was refreshing. It was fun for me to read and hear the emphasis on the fact that you could be. There's people that are a part of the church that haven't been introduced to Jesus. That was a
Hmm.
fun discussion for me, right? That
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
I think it was maybe Scott McKnight, and should say Dr. McKnight, who, as he was reframing deconstruction, right? I think there's a phrase in the book, I can't remember what page, uh, like deconstruction is not rebellion, right? It's actually
Hmm.
towards Christ,
Hmm.
and he says, I want you to try Jesus again, and maybe for the first time,
Ooh,
and I'm like,
maybe for the first time. Hey, I like it. I ain't mad at it.
yeah,
I
it
ain't
was
mad
good.
at it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that was good. That was a great observation for sure.
Yeah. All right, so you give the book a what? Based on who you are and all of that, you give the book a what? A, B, C,
I'm
D, or F?
I'm gonna give it so I gotta go full grade or I can go plus or minus.
You can go plus minus.
B minus.
All right, we Gracefield over here. We're not
B
legalism.
minus. B minus.
All right, how'd you get there?
So I think when I'm thinking about audience, I'm thinking about, so even like similar to when preaching, like you're like, okay, who is this for?
Yeah,
And like I'm thinking about specific people that I know in my life who are like wrestling with church and wrestling with like, man, what am I doing? And how can I process this? Like I think that three-stage process that they talk about in the book that we're gonna talk about here in a minute,
yep,
is helpful language for those people.
yep,
And so I don't want to dismiss it just because like they spent several chapters talking about deconstruction, kind of unpacking what it is. Because I think
yep,
those people might appreciate it. I didn't necessarily appreciate it, but at the same time, think about audience as well. So I want to be gracious there with the B minus. And then I think that they call out some of the doctrinal stuff and the other stuff that many people who are part of that other audience they're talking about, the people that are the people that cause people to leave churches, need to hear. So that's why I landed on B minus and not necessarily a not necessarily a C range. What about you, man? I know you ain't get there until chapter 9, so you got 8 chapters of I don't like well 7, 6 chapters of I don't know what was going on. So what you give it?
I give it a C plus.
Okay.
I give it a C plus because I think they could have done a better job at giving us the roadmap to say, here are the chapter breakdowns, or the approach that we're
Mm,
taking with this book, and here's why, right?
mm,
That was not extremely clear as you move throughout the book, right? So even like honestly, my favorite chapter in the book was chapter 3. What was your favorite
mm.
chapter?
Uh, Let me see which one I like. I liked you had 3. I like
Yeah.
chapter 6. I like chapter 6 actually.
Okay.
Um when he talked about recategorize and deconstruction, not as a deconversion, but conversion.
Yeah.
Again, it just provided some helpful language. I think either that
Why
one.
your favorite chapter was the shortest chapter in the book?
Well, sometimes that happens like that. Sometimes you need to be short, succinct, and clear. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
Concise.
Yeah. And after that, I think chapter 4, the chapter on politics, obviously, I'm heavily involved in justice and politics and things like that. So I thought that was pretty decent.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think, yeah. So the other reason I give it a C is I felt like they could have gotten to the point a lot faster.
Mm. Hmm.
I think they could have gotten
Yeah.
to the point a lot faster.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's
let's
fair.
jump into it, man. So
Let's get to it.
encountering Jesus in fundamentalism. Talk to me a little bit.
So, this is part biographical about Scott's story,
Yeah.
growing up in fundamentalism. But I thought that a couple of quotes early on kind of help you kind of realize what the book is going to be getting at.
Yeah.
We talked about on the first page, he said, we believe deconstruction is a prophetic movement resisting a distorted gospel. It's not a problem, it's a voice. And we need to listen to what what it is saying to the church. So there's on the front end, they're sticking out this idea that this is a prophetic movement, actually. And rather than dismiss, you need to listen. And you
Yeah.
haven't been doing a good job of listening because deconstruction has become a boogeyman in the church, specifically in the evangelical church.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I appreciated from this chapter, and yes, Scott and Tommy both told their deconstruction story, but I appreciated the fact that they challenged us that deconstruction is not new. Now, let me tell you the reason why I appreciated that.
Mm.
Because it made me sit down and reflect that if deconstruction is not new, why does it seem so pronounced now? Right?
Mm.
Why does it seem such a big deal now? And as I thought about that, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, like I just feel like people have a lot more options and distractions now than maybe in the past.
Mm. Now, one of the things they mentioned that I think is a clear inflection point for this movement was COVID-19.
Yeah.
Because now you're not going to church, right?
Yeah.
Now you're not going to a physical building. You have to decide whether or not you want to do this virtual thing. And then you have a little bit more time to process kind of what your faith looks like. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people in the past 5 years have been all in on trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely was not just an inflection point for us in terms of work environments like remote work and all that. It was an inflection point for the church, trying to figure out if people are going to be coming back.
Why am I looking at your knee, bro?
Bro, I have my legs crossed. Sorry.
Oh, I'm
I'm
like, what
sitting
is
here
that?
talking. I'm sitting here talking, man. You know what I'm
I got
saying? He said, "Why am I looking at my knee?"
you. The professor was teaching me.
A brother can't wear shorts to work.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can, especially on a Friday,
You
and
know where I'm
especially
about to
when
go.
you're gonna get some golf on after this.
Exactly. Yeah, so
Um,
that's why I feel about that, man.
yeah, I think the thing. So this comes up in a later chapter, but it fits in terms of discussion now. I loved the rhetorical question that they asked: where do people go if they want to
Mm.
resist the sermon?
Ooh. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
in the book, they asked the question like, okay, so if you disagree with what's said in the sermon, where do
Right.
you take your questions? Right, and I
Right.
think there's something to be said about that. That as in the brick and mortar space, we should consider. Like,
Mm.
yes, the vast majority of the people may be amening, or at least in our context, man, the people talk back. Right, there's call and response,
Mm.
there's engagement, there's energy in the room, there's excitement in the room, all of that. But what happens if there's some people in the room? Your sermon creates more questions than answers for them. Where did they go and how did they get those questions answered? Because
Wow.
I know by and large, the average pastor is not prepared to actually sit down with people and answer the questions from their sermon. They don't have the time or the capacity. Number two, some of them may see it as challenging,
Challenging. Yeah.
right? Challenging them or challenging the word of God. And in other cases, people may not even know how to even frame their question.
Right.
Right, like
Right.
when you're working through some of these big questions, you're like, I got a question, but I don't know what my question is.
Mm, mm. I think that's one of the primary things, man, is the offense component, not taking offense when
Yeah,
somebody does have a question. Like, answer the question or
yeah,
engage the person.
yeah,
It's not a personal attack on you and your preparation and all that. You actually may provide them the clarity they need to
yeah,
continue moving forward with their faith journey. And
yeah,
so I think that's a good thing for people to have be inquisitive and have questions. And I love the way they used Jesus's interactions with the Pharisees on that question and answer piece in that chapter, which
yeah,
I thought was really, really good. Yeah.
yeah. I think it also begs the question that every pastor, every spiritual leader should have in their repertoire at least an awareness of credible quality apologetics resources.
Right, for sure. Yeah. Yep.
Because if these questions come up, and it's interesting, like even like for me yesterday, one of our members at the church set up a meeting with me a couple of weeks ago for yesterday, and the question was simply like I'm all in on God, I'm all in on the church, but I'm really curious. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around this whole born in sin, shaping in iniquity conversation.
Mm,
That's what she said.
mm,
And we chatted for 40-45 minutes or so, and she left
mm.
with clarity, right? She left with some level of appreciation
Wow.
on a biblical perspective on this. And
Yeah.
so
Yep.
anyways,
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah. So engage them, man. Whoever that is out there who gets offended by people, man, don't do that. Just engage. Engage. Now, I will say this: there are some folks who just uh have questions or at least are dogmatic about everything, and you get emails every other day about stuff. Okay, you got to be wise.
if
Got to
you
be
come,
wise.
if they come with the right heart and the right spirit, with the right motive, then we can deal with the questions.
For sure.
Outside of
Yeah.
that, you either are wanting attention or you are a distraction.
That's good, man. That's wisdom. So
Yeah.
y'all gotta understand the difference between the two.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. Chapter 2, hearing from Jesus in our doubts. Hearing from
Mm,
Jesus in our doubts. Um, I thought this was really really good. Again, they're further arguing the point that this whole idea of deconstruction is not a bad thing. And you know, listen to this. It says 9 out of 10 are still looking for a lot more Jesus.
yeah.
If they are
That was
leaving, huh?
I said that was a good survey result. A lot of people thinking deconstruction is like 8 out of 10 leaving, but their idea was, hey, 9 out of 10 are actually still trying to figure out how to reconstruct, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. You mind if I finish reading this sentence, the couple
No,
sentences
go
here?
ahead.
It says, if they are leaving your denominational church in droves, it might be time to consider why they don't see him there and why they have gone in search of this invisible Jesus elsewhere. Keep in mind that the deconstruction movement is not always an exodus from the faith. For many, deconstruction is not apostasy, but a pilgrimage, not a departure from following Jesus, but another step in the journey toward a Jesus-shaped way of life.
Yeah, that's good, man.
So good.
Yep. Yeah,
So
that was a
good.
great paragraph.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
good. So
Mm,
that's chapter number 2. Then they give some themes from deconstruction that I thought was good. And man, like I enjoyed in chapter 2 and chapter 3, I enjoyed just as a logical thinker, like they
hmm.
gave me a list. And what I mean by a
Yeah.
list, like it was in paragraph form, but they gave me like, here's all the reasons why people may be deconstructed.
Right.
I
Yeah.
appreciated that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they did a good job of doing that for sure. You said we in chapter 3?
We're getting there now. The interlude,
So
the 3 phases of deconstruction.
this is your favorite one, right?
It's my favorite chapter out of the book.
Is
Yeah.
it because it talk about centered set and bounded set? You know, you be liking stuff like that, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I did ask the question. So on page 30, 30, 31, and 32, they've got
Hmm.
this and I don't know if you did it on the Kindle and it's as clear as it is on the physical book. but they've got these reasons for leaving the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they break it down. Here are a few reasons each group leaves the church.
Yeah, I got that. Yep.
You have cultural Christians reasons, mainstream evangelicals reasons, ex-evangelicals reasons, BIPOC reasons, and then mainline Protestants, and then separately Roman Catholic.
Huh.
And I sat with this for a little bit, Pastor John, because I said, this is something that we don't talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Meaning, we've talked about deconstruction, but we don't talk about the fact that different people deconstruct for different reasons.
Correct. Yeah, that's good. Yep.
They deconstruct for different reasons, right? So somebody that grew up in the purity culture is deconstructing very differently than somebody that grew up in a traditional Black church context that didn't have any discipleship resources or tools or avenues at all.
Yeah. Yep. Totally different. And then they even had two groups and segments of Black folks and people of color between 18 and 25, 29 and 39 that had different reasons. So
Yeah.
even among generations within that group, they were talking about the different reasons that they had for deconstructing. Well, I thought that was good.
I think too, within that, there's got to be additional nuance. And what I mean by that is the additional nuance is like, if you talk to, so I've got some friends who are Haitian. Okay. Now, they would consider themselves to be Black Americans. They're of Haitian heritage, but they consider themselves to be Black Americans. Their lived experience with faith is very different than an African American who was
Right.
born and raised in the United States.
Correct. Yeah.
Very different.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you telling me you don't like BIPOC?
No, I'm telling you that I think it's worth conversation with our audience and with people that people read the book and people that are having these conversations even beyond that BIPOC doesn't mean same or monolith.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That makes a good sense. And Haitian folks have a totally different experience than folks who grew up here as African Americans. So that's a good point for sure.
Even like let's dip our toe into some muddy waters for just a minute. Okay, so there was a video that went viral a few weeks ago talking about the Christian music industry and gospel music and all of that.
Oh, that one.
Yes.
That's muddy for sure. Okay.
Yes.
Let's put our feet in there then.
Okay. Here is one of the elements that I don't think a lot of people thought about, Pastor John, because as they critiqued the young man, the gentleman who made the comments that upset everybody, his heritage, he's Ghanaian.
Mm-hmm.
He's Ghanaian. He's not a traditional African American that have grown up in a traditional African American context.
Right. So you defending the Black church against somebody who likely didn't have the Black church experience.
Now, this is not me saying that I'm endorsing the conversation, endorsing what he said, all of that, right? We can have that conversation on another context. I am saying that we don't often consider and think about the realities of people's background just because of what they look like on the surface.
That's good, man. Social location matters. You got to know their social location in order for you to understand where people are coming from. That's for everybody, including ourselves.
Yeah. I love this. Perhaps you can relate. They're talking in the book. He says, you may feel you can no longer be genuine and authentically present in a church. You can't participate in the systemic direction of a church. Its precious doctrines now annoy you. They put this in italics. Who cares about the rapture when the existential, deeply personal reality of a living faith is what got you raptured.
Yeesh. Yep. Yep. They was not playing with that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So to tie
Yeah.
this back a little bit, I think that if somebody goes to read The Invisible Jesus, if they read this and then they read The Soul Winning Church back to back, if you're
Mhm.
in a brick and mortar church, it should ignite a fire in you to make sure that you are helping to properly disciple people well,
That's right. Yeah. That's right, man. Including people who have questions.
including people who have questions.
Yeah.
So, Pastor John, talk about the three phases of deconstruction really fast.
Yeah, I
I
think this was like the core at the core of this chapter. So they talk about three phases of deconstruction, and those phases are liminality, elimination, and then liberation.
Yep.
Liminality is this point where you're trying to figure out. It's a halfway house, they say, where you're trying to figure out what it is that you believe. Um, I love what they said in that part. They said information doesn't change humans, incarnation does, which means that you got to do life with people, man, even when they're in that phase of liminality, right? And
Yeah.
then they said the second phase is elimination. Uh, that he was talking about how he always learned about stuff that he didn't believe,
Yeah.
but didn't necessarily learn about stuff that he believed. So he
Yep.
started to eliminate, or people that deconstruct start to eliminate practices that are anti-biblical or not biblical. And then there's liberation.
Yeah.
That last phase where these deconstructors find a new way forward, where they feel free in that third phase. So I think it's helpful language for people who may be in one of those three phases, trying to figure out where I'm going next.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important. This is a vocabulary word, right? Liminality, liminal space means transitional space. That's what that
Mhm.
word means. So I think that's good for people to know that. Um, because I mean, Blackaby, they call it the crisis of faith, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think it's important for everybody at some point to put their thinking caps on and begin to actually question, like, okay, I believe this, but here's why I believe this, right?
Right.
Um, or I was taught this. Let me go study it for myself to affirm or confirm this is what I believe.
Mm.
Um, because I don't think a lot of people do that, right? When you think
Yeah.
about even the conversation around systematic theology, I think
Mm.
people having a robust, healthy, systematic theology approach helps
Yep.
to galvanize for people like, here's what it means for me to be saved. Because when you have those things kind of wrapped out, or not wrapped out, but some of those things kind of laid out, it helps to
Mhm.
answer some of the other questions that come up, like, oh, well, can I lose my salvation? Do I have to get saved every Sunday all over again? Well, if you understand soteriology from a biblical
Uh,
perspective,
Right.
that question goes right out the door.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
why I say so often, man, sound doctrine saves lives.
Mm.
I'm gonna get
Hmm.
that on a t-shirt.
Come on, man. Put that on a shirt. Put that
Yeah,
on a shirt.
yeah. All right. So by the time we end chapter 3, we move now to centering Jesus. Jesus is the center. Jesus is
Mhm.
the center of my. Okay, my bad. Y'all
Come
know I
on.
can't sing.
Come on, Israel Houghton.
Yeah,
I can't either, brother, so don't worry about it.
yeah. All right. So talk about this politics thing, man, for a minute, because this was actually a heavy chapter.
It really was, man. And I think that what one of the things that I noticed in the chapter that really is true, it says several people in my church, talking about Tommy, have watched their parents turn against the gracious, loving, Christ-like way of their old life and go all in on Trumpism.
Mm.
This idea of this shift from living out the creeds of Jesus to now becoming more political. And then they mentioned this. Everyone thinks Jesus is on their team, so they make Jesus like themselves.
Woo-wee!
My goodness.
Woo-wee!
My goodness. Man, like so I think that that's good guidance for anyone on any quote unquote side of anything, right?
Yeah,
Having this idea that Jesus is always on your team. And so even personally, I got to start thinking through, okay, I want to make sure that the theology that I have is Christ-centered, has Christ as the center, and it doesn't necessarily become something that's political and we're on a team, because we're all extras in God's play. Jesus is the main character. He is the center, and we got to do that with our political engagement as well.
Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you the light bulb moment for me in this chapter. Light bulb moment for me in this chapter. Many deconstructors have left the evangelical house in recent years because they have learned that Democrats are no longer welcome. Sociologists are discovering, somewhat surprisingly, this is the light bulb for me. Watch this, that American evangelicals do not choose their political party on the basis of their religion. They choose their church or their faith expression on the basis of their politics. I had
My
to put the book
goodness.
down, Pastor John. I was like, what?
Choosing your church on the basis of politics is crazy.
Woo! Jesus.
Yeah, that was good. I definitely highlighted that one because I was like, yep, that is absolutely true. Absolutely true.
And let me tell you the other reason why I had to put the book down, because I think for the first time, at least for the light bulb moment for me, I realized, like, by and large, African American Hispanic people choose their church for radically different reasons.
Radically different. You hear me?
We not immediately going into our churches trying to figure out, are they Democrat or Republican?
That's right, man. That's not our measuring rod, man. Not at all.
Man, we're looking at the music, we're looking at the kids ministry. Hey,
yep.
Can he preach?
That we want to know if he can preach, if y'all can sing, and that's what we need to know. We don't care about this political party thing. But on the other side, the first and foremost question is, what do y'all think about the Republican Party or the Democrat? No, man, we don't care. Obviously,
Is this
we're
a woke
involved.
preacher?
Exactly. Exactly. Not the woke preacher. I really like that chapter on politics though, because it demonstrates that this whole deconstruction piece is really having an impact on people and their politics
Yeah.
in the larger evangelical spaces, and now everything's a boogeyman and becomes political, which is crazy.
Can I give one more quote that I thought was really significant?
Sure.
So in this section on or this chapter, they ask the question, where have all the guides gone?
Yeah.
Many of those wonderful older and wiser people we look to for wisdom have eroded their witness through promotion of political extremism, conspiracy theories, and election
lies. Yeah, man. That's crazy, man. And we've seen this happening, man, over the past several years, where there's a lot of folks who theologically sound have written systematic theologies, Bible commentaries, and then when they pass away and people are trying to reflect on them, they're like, man, this person went all in on all this stuff,
Yeah.
on Trumpism, on political parties. It's like, how do you handle that? How you handle that? Because they were gods at some point, but now they're like misguided in their political thinking.
Can we slow the car down for just a moment right here?
Sure.
So a couple things on the backdrop of what you just said. One is, if I'm honest, there have been people, I'll say it like we would say it on the street, their true colors have come out, right? That if I had not been properly discipled, it would have wrecked my faith, man. It would have wrecked my faith to see that people that we might have grown up watching or listening to or respecting, or like you said earlier, reading their books or commentaries, and then to hear them come out and say, like in one example, Jesus ain't for justice.
Mm-hmm.
You're like,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Right.
Like,
Right.
what Bible are you reading?
Right.
Right.
Mr. Scholar.
Right. And I would even say there are people, men and women, who have profited at the expense of diverse churches, Black, Hispanic, Asian churches, only get to where they wanted to get to and then forsake the message that helped them to get there.
Wow. That's good, man. Yeah. Yeah.
The last thing I'll say, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this part. There's a real tension for me personally, because I feel like honor is a big part of my life. So I believe in honoring people,
Right.
honoring their work. But the tension for me is that if you have lived your life promoting the gospel, the message of Jesus Christ, or anything that fits within that, right? But on the other side of this, you have been anti-people.
Mm-hmm.
The tension for me is seeing, no lies told, people having to post after this person dies. So you find out this person dies, and then then this other information comes out. Oh yeah, but here's the gospel that they really preached. And you're like, man, could you not have lived well in order for your legacy to live well? It's a real tension.
Yeah, so I think it's just important to realize the way you finish is just as important as the way you start. Like, I'm talking about decades of ministry work, theology work that had none of this included in it before. Within the past 5 years, folks, and I'll just say his name, John MacArthur, has preached sermons and done talks on issues that he in the past would give a gospel-centered perspective,
Yeah,
and now it's all in on something else. So now you got all these decades of work that has shifted over the past 5 years because you think that being able to put someone in political office is going to save America.
yeah,
And so now, like you said, there's a tension. It's
yeah.
like, bro, you got all this good content here, and then you finish the marathon like this. And now I
Well,
got to figure out what we're gonna do with that.
well, and then then you like you even have to be careful what you when you say good content.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
be careful when you say good content, right? Like I mean, you named John MacArthur. Most recently, we've had Jimmy Swaggart. We've had
Hmm.
James Dobson, right? That I
Yeah.
mean, Jimmy Swaggart. I mean, who growing up in the 70s and 80s and 90s did not watch Jimmy Swaggart at some point,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
But then you
Who did?
listen. Go ahead.
Who wasn't exposed to Focus on the Family at some point? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Yeah. It's real, man. It's
And
real.
then then you have to acknowledge the tension that, man, they promoted Focus on the Family, or they promoted this evangelistic gospel, salvation is for everybody. But
Mm.
the salvation experience, when Jesus says in John 10:10, I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly, that is not just for heaven.
Right,
That
man.
is also for earth.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's something that's happened historically, man. Like, when I say good content, I'm like, boy, Greek is Greek. And he could do the Greek, parsing of the Greek. Great.
Yeah,
He didn't parse the culture well.
right.
Same thing like with resources like BDAG, man. Like, I'm watching a documentary, I'm looking like Banker was Hitler's primary theologian, but we use BDAG all the time. Because it's a resource that has the Greek equivalent, the literary kind of cultural Greek, and we're like, I wouldn't be able to do that myself.
Yeah.
But this man was outright racist,
Yes.
bro. Clay feet, man.
Yes.
Clay feet all over the place.
Yes.
So that's the tension, man. That's the tension. Am I gonna stop using BDAG? It's one of my primary resources when I do Greek studies. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Chapter 5, placing Jesus in the center. I thought this was a solid chapter.
Yeah.
They spent a number of pages dealing with the doctrine around complementarianism and women in ministry, and and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I thought that was good for them to kind of wrestle with. And I think, again, looking at their context, this is a big issue for those that are deconstructing out of evangelical space, right?
Right.
And what they look like.
Chapter 6.
Stumbling
Oh,
block. Yep, we can keep moving.
okay,
I'm
okay.
just going through my notes because I'm looking at the time too. Deconstruct is conversion. This was your chapter.
It was my chapter, man. I like this idea of deconstruction being conversion, and literally, I the first sentence hit me. Though many view deconstruction as deconversion, we want to make the unusual claim that deconstruction is more of a conversion. And he talks about the deconversion process, and kind of has like a process that it goes through. And I'll just mention them real quick here, because I took
Yep.
notes on that part. It says, first, we must understand that people always make choices in specific contexts. Again, contextualizing social location, right? They make those choices there. There's no such thing as conversion without a crisis. You talked about this earlier. Like, you got to have a crisis in order for conversion to occur. Crisis experience inevitably leads to a quest. Man, this sounds like movies. You know what I'm saying? People have a crisis, they go on the quest, and then guess what? They find a guide, an encounter, someone who can guide them on that quest. And then
Yep.
there's a decision where they walk away or make a commitment to shift their faith. It's like a whole movie, bro. And I was like, yeah, I like this. I like this little 5-step process that they have for the conversion there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it. Um,
Music. Next
yeah.
chapter is music. Burying Jesus in production in the church experience on Sunday
Woo!
morning. And this is where you had a little bit of critique for them kind of going into the, hey, house churches are better than brick and mortar church because look what y'all do on Sunday mornings. Y'all don't do nothing on Sunday mornings.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all have made it a production. Y'all done left
Yeah.
Jesus at the house.
Yeah.
Now, again, two things in this case, two things can be true at the same time, right? Because I do think that you have to, if you got the lights, if you got the sound, if you got the screens, like at least in our context, man, you come in during worship, the room is generally darker, right?
Yep.
Thing. So I think you have to balance that, right? And help make sure that people don't get lost in the sauce on that. That we're doing this for you to have an enhanced experience to encounter the presence of God, not for you to feel like you're entertained, right? Not for you to you're coming in a production space. And I think that our churches have to manage moments. We have to manage. Like, we can't create moments. That's on the Holy Spirit. But our job is to manage them when the Holy Spirit creates them. And I think it's important, as you can tell, I've thought through this, right? We've worked through this.
Yeah.
Because if you try to create the moment, it's manipulative. It's manipulation. But when the Holy Spirit creates the moment, if you squash it, you are quenching what the Holy Spirit has created.
Yeah.
And you never know what God. And so we can't be so planning center focused, right? Or program sheet focused that we focus out the work or the move of the Spirit, even if that means, guess what? The sermon might have been 35 minutes. It might be 20 today, or it might be 15 today. Or we literally might have to adjust the entire sermon series because the Holy Spirit decided to move today.
And that's across the board too, Pastor Christopher. Like, I tell all of our teams, I'm like, tech team, ushers, like all y'all have to be prepared to make adjustments. And everybody isn't wired that way. And so we're like, man, y'all gotta be in line, y'all gotta be listening to the Spirit in those moments to make sure that none of us miss it. Because if one person misses it, it can just have this domino effect where everybody does.
Yep. Yep. This literally happened about a month ago. We were doing we do a pre-service run through for service to make sure all the elements are together and
Well,
everybody's on the
praise the
same.
Lord, saints.
What?
I wish we did, but go ahead. So
I
y'all
just
do pre-service run through.
yeah, I don't even know how to respond to that, man. I'm like, okay, my bad. St. Mark, that's on y'all. I'm just a cousin over here.
No, everybody knows it. We have this cultural thing. We're working through it. I'm just messing with my church members. They know what's up.
Yeah. So we do the pre-service run. So anyway, about a month ago, I literally paused in the middle of our pre-service run through and just said to the team, hey guys, just want to remind everybody, like when we transition from this moment, yes, there's a video after this, but it shouldn't feel like whiplash. Right? We are not, there's a production element to this, but the goal is for people to see Jesus. The goal is for people to have an experience that is not disruptive. They should not feel like, man, I was just high on worship,
right.
on video. Like that's not the goal here. So to your point, like in the booth, I need y'all to be paying attention. What does the room feel like? What is happening right now? Like,
right.
and then worship team, let's be sensitive to, all right, I know you got a transition. We know that the 8:30 service is a little bit tighter than the other two services and all that ingress, egress, and all those kinds of things. But let's make sure that we're sensitive to what's happening. If the transition doesn't feel right, don't do it. Keep singing.
Yep. Man, you're right. I'm right there with you, brother. I am right there with you.
I think y'all should call this consultant that I know and have him come in and help y'all with that.
Come through. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that for sure. Offline, let me know.
Yeah. So yes, we have to pay attention to production. Now, again, back to the messy conversation from earlier. They address this in the book. They looked up and basically said that let me read the quote so I don't misquote it. In an April 2023 article titled "How Bethel and Hillsong Took Over Our Worship Sets," Bob Smetana looked at how the phenomenon of big show church formed the worship of modern faith communities. He found that almost every one of the 38 most sung worship songs in the churches across our country originated from one of 4 mega churches.
That's crazy. That's
Many
crazy.
of these songs that magnify our poor, homeless, crucified, buried, and risen Jesus were paradoxically written by some of the wealthiest and most influential Christians of our day.
Talk. Yeah, man. Yeah. They said that. But like I said earlier, we don't sing those songs. So I don't know what y'all talking about.
We sing some of them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're in a different context. So I meant to say my church.
No, you sing some of them too. They just sound different.
Yeah, some of them, yes.
They don't put a different sauce on it.
Yeah. So we have we'll sing "Trust in God" and some other ones, but yeah, we be on the black church hymns and everything. So you know what I'm saying. But our
So Scott McKnight is Anglican, and I love that the Anglican voice came out in this chapter when they started talking about the table and communion.
Yeah, you know that was Anglican boy through and through. He said, "I can't wait till we get to table because I got some things to say."
The bread in the basket.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 realities of the bread of life.
Right.
He broke that thing down. Pastor John, we're over time. So how do you want to summarize the book?
I think it gives deconstructors the language they need to process through their deconstruction experience. 1.
Yep.
2, I think it gives those who have not had quote unquote exit interviews with people who have deconstructed the opportunity to go back to have conversations with them with this new language that they may be able to use if they're receptive to it. Now, this book could be offensive or it could help people to move forward to better engage people who are deconstructing. That's what I got to say about that.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I would say on the backdrop of this book, I appreciated it. I was left wanting them to say verbally directly that deconstruction should lead to reconstruction.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't think
Yes.
they said that boldly enough.
Yeah, they implied it, but it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't something that was direct. Speaking of
Yeah.
Reconstruction, this is a good timing because Lecrae just came up with an album called Reconstruction.
I started to send it to you the other day. I was like, look
Yeah,
at
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's crazy. So, you know what I'm saying? Whenever we put these things together, we talk about the Holy Spirit. You know, he knew that album may have been coming out. I ain't know nothing about no album coming out, but this month his album came out. So interesting album, man. But it's a
Look,
good book, man.
look at
I B
God out
plus,
here, God.
right, exactly. I B minus the book, you C plus it. And so next month, man, we got another book that's going to be really interesting, man. The title is fantastic, and I've heard some really good things about it. Shepherds for Sale. Ooh, what does that mean? Y'all gonna have to find
Yes.
out. You got to read the book because this is another one of those books where it is a cultural book written by Megan. I want to say her name right, Basham, maybe
Yep.
Basham, um,
Yep.
and deals with one of the cultural moments that we have going on right now. So I cannot wait to read it. Can't wait.
Yep. So we picked this book knowing that there may be some disagreement that we would have with it, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how all of this fleshes out and how we land with it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So all right. I look forward to seeing you all next month. What's our date, Pastor John? Let's give that today.
September the, let me see. Let me make sure I got my date on my calendar. September the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it the 26th? Yeah, 26th. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yep.
Noon Eastern, 11 Central. So September 26th, y'all.
There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, everybody. This has been the Christian Leaders Book Club. What a blessing it has been as we have engaged with one another. These are our list of books. We just finished Invisible Jesus, and then we jump into Shepherds for Sale. So y'all got a whole month to jump into this book, and let's see what God has to say. Pastor John, love you, man. Appreciate you. This is a fun journey. So we'll see
Love
y'all
you too, man. Go Dogs. I don't know what the No's gonna do. Holla at you.